Hi class and welcome to your online class. So today we are continuing with the last module, and remember in this module we have already discussed one work, and I had already told you in the introduction to this module that in this particular module deals with alter identities, right? So what was alternate identities? It is the search for an alternate identity, and this work that we are going to discuss here today is one of the best examples of not being satisfied with one's own identity, and the eternal search for perfection through identity is something that is the major themes, one of the major themes of this particular work. Now this work was written by our um, very famous Indian writer called Girish Karnad. Okay, I hope you've heard of him. Girish Karnad is a very famous playwright, writer, film director, actor. All right, he has many roles. He's also a Rhodes Scholar. So he has worked, I think, I don't remember, but he's worked in one of these Malayalam films also. So he's a very famous personality in India, particularly in South India, and he passed away last year in June in 2019, and even his death was a matter of controversy because he was a very outspoken writer, and some people, even on the event of his death, they did not respect this man, and they tweeted very mean things about him. I remember one which said that he deserved a dog's death. A dog has died. Some that kind of a tweet was said about Girish Karnad, most probably because he was very open against his criticism of the government, and uh, throughout his life he has tried to work for a better conditions of the society. All right, and as far as his works are concerned, in terms of writing, he's also an actor. He's made many films. Okay, I can give you the films. I think yeah, I'll come to that. Before that, his writings, all right, mostly he writes in Kannada, but these works are being translated into English by himself in most of the cases, all right. And some of his famous plays are Hayavadana, Yayati, Nagamandala, all very interesting themes, and all have a very deep all have deep roots in the traditional Indian mythological and folk stories that are there. You'll find these elements of myth in all of his works. All right. Now, his movies, when we come to his movies, he acted. I'm sure you're familiar with Malgudi Days. So he acted in Malgudi Days, and he has made many famous Kannada movies, and his Hindi movies include Nishant, Manthan, Swami, and Pukar. All right, these are some of the famous films that he has created. I'm not sure if you're familiar with those films, because they're a bit old. But yes, he has done a role in the new film called Ek Tha Tiger. So you can look it up and you'll find information about Karnad there. All right. Now this particular work, Hayavadana. All right. Hayavadana is one of the most introspective works of Karnad. Introspective, why? It makes you think. All right. And man always searches for an alternate identity, the most perfect and ideal one that he can have. That is something that all of us are in search of, right? To have an ideal identity, a perfect identity. And that search is represented in this particular work. The play is a musing on man's quest for perfection, something that eludes the seeker as he approaches it. Okay, man is always in a quest, in an eternal search for perfection. All right, but as soon as you feel like you're going to reach the perfection, it moves away. Okay, the example that I can give you is of railroads. Rail palangal kandittundo. If you have spent some time looking at it, you'll realize that when you're looking at rails as they are laid down, നിങ്ങൾക്ക് തോന്നും അത് ഏതോ ഒരു പോയിന്റിൽ ചെന്ന് അത് മീറ്റ് ചെയ്യും എന്ന് തോന്നി നിങ്ങൾ അതിന്റെ അടുത്തോട്ട് ചെല്ലുമ്പോൾ you will realize that it is again spreading out. So it's almost like that, the absurdity of life, the search for perfection is like that. You feel like you're going to reach the end, but then it again extends from that particular point. The search for perfecting on identity is all the more meaningful in post-human cultural context, where typical notions of human subjectivity and embodiment are challenged to move beyond the archaic concepts of unified nature to develop ones which are constantly adapted to the contemporary techno-scientific knowledge. Now, don't get scared about all these words that I said. Post-human is actually a theory which talks about, you know, the human condition in the present society after the 2 world wars, and, you know, with the threat of a nuclear war always looming over us, with the uncertainty of life, meaninglessness of life, you know, job, unemployment, lots of issues going on everywhere, lack of spirituality. Adana ee post human life ennu parayunnathu. Our post-human life, it is a challenge. Every single day is a challenge, all right, on how you try to adapt to the constantly changing world around you. That is what he's talking about, all right, in that sentence. The thread of the play lies in an ancient anthology of stories in Sanskrit called Katha Sarit Sagara. So the play, this particular play, Hayavadana, idinte kadhe edutirikkುnnathu, okay, the story on which this play is based on is actually from a Sanskrit series of stories, okay. It's called Katha Sarit Sagara. I'm sure you must have heard of it. As children, you must have read those stories, all right. So this one, some of those stories, of course, this particular story is also taken from Katha Sarit Sagara. പക്ഷെ അത് നേരിട്ടല്ല എടുത്തിരിക്കുന്നത്. Katha Sarit Sagara എന്ന സംസ്കൃത് വർക്കിനെ ബേസ് ചെയ്ത് തോമസ് മാൻ എന്ന് പറയുന്ന ഒരു English writer, he wrote a play called The Transposed Heads. All right, The Transposed Heads എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞ തോമസ് മാൻ ഒരു ഈ സ്റ്റോറിയെ ബേസ് ചെയ്തിട്ട് ഒരു നാടകം എഴുതി. തോമസ് മാന്റെ ട്രാൻസ്പോസ്ഡ് ഹെഡ്സ് എന്ന് പറയുന്ന നാടകത്തിനെ ബേസ് ചെയ്താണ് ഗിരീഷ് കർണാഡ് ഹയവദന എഴുതിയത്. Okay, so double difference ആണുള്ളത്. The main plot, all right, moves around the characters of Kapila, Devadatta and Padmini. All right, now ഈ ഒരു വർക്കിന്റെ പ്രത്യേകത, ഈ ഹയവദന is a quite a long play with many different elements coming into it, but thankfully for you all, you don't have to study the entire play മുഴുവൻ നിങ്ങൾക്ക് പഠിക്കാനില്ല. അതിന്റെ ഒരു സീൻ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ഒരു ഭാഗം, ഒരു ആക്ട് മാത്രമേ ഉള്ളൂ. ഐ ഹോപ്പ് യു നോ ആക്ട് എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് അതിന്റെ ഒരു പാർട്ട് മാത്രമാണ്. Alright, so you have a few scenes, one act and a few scenes that you have to study of Hayavadana. പക്ഷെ ആ ഒരു ഭാഗം മനസ്സിലാവുന്നെങ്കിൽ നിങ്ങൾക്ക് കഥ മുഴുവനും മനസ്സിലാവണം. എന്നാലേ നിങ്ങൾക്ക് ഈ ഒരു സംഭവത്തിന് ആ ഒരു പാട്ടിന്റെ റെലവൻസ് അറിയാൻ പറ്റുള്ളൂ. Alright, so that's why I'm going to explain the entire story right now in this slide, and then in the next section we'll deal with what we have to study. അതായത് നമ്മുടെ പ്ലേ നമ്മൾ സാധാരണ ചെയ്യുന്ന പോലെ തന്നെ ആ ടെക്സ്റ്റ് നിങ്ങളെ കാണിച്ചുകൊണ്ടായിരിക്കും പഠിക്കുന്നത്. പക്ഷെ അതിലേക്ക് പോകുന്നതിന് മുമ്പ് ഈ ഒരു കഥനെ കുറിച്ചും അതിന്റെ ക്യാരക്ടേഴ്സിനെ കുറിച്ചും കുറെ എസെൻഷ്യൽ ആയിട്ടുള്ള കാര്യങ്ങൾ അറിയേണ്ടത് അത്യാവശ്യമാണ്. Okay, only then can you understand what this work is about. Now, as I told you, this play അതിന്റെ മെയിൻ തീംസ് ആയിട്ട് വരുന്നത് ഒന്ന് search for identity, second the search for perfection. All right, and adinte embodiment aayittu ee oru text inde peru Hayavadana. All right, Hayavadana ennu parnal the face of a horse ennana inde translation. Haya ennu parnal endha horse ennana inde artham. Okay, so Hayavadana means face of a horse. Now look at that. This is one of the posters of this play. ഈ പ്ലേ എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ ഇപ്പോഴും കണ്ടംപററിലി ഒരുപാട് തിയേറ്റേഴ്സിൽ ഇത് പ്ലേ ചെയ്യാറുണ്ട്. ഓൾറൈറ്റ്, സോ അങ്ങനെ ഒരു തിയേറ്ററിൽ പ്ലേ നടക്കാൻ പോകുന്നതിന് മുമ്പ് ഉണ്ടായിരുന്ന ഒരു പോസ്റ്ററാണ്. കുറച്ച് ഫാന്റാസ്റ്റിക്കൽ ആയിട്ടുള്ള ഒരു പോസ്റ്ററാണ്, ബട്ട് ദിസ് ഇസ് ദി എസെൻസ്. ഓക്കെ, ഹയവദന എന്ന് പറയുന്ന ഈ ഒരു പ്ലേയിൽ 2 കഥകളാണുള്ളത്. Alright, there is a frame narrative and there is a main narrative. Frame narrative എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ നമ്മുടെ ഉള്ളിലുള്ള കപിലയുടെയും ദേവദത്തയുടെയും പദ്മിനിയുടെയും കഥയാണ് മെയിൻ കഥ. ഓക്കെ, അതിനെ കവർ ചെയ്തുകൊണ്ട് വേറൊരു ലാർജർ ഒരു ഫ്രെയിം നറേറ്റീവ് ഉണ്ട്. അതാണ് ഹയവദനയുടെ കഥ. Alright, ഹയവദന എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ ഈ ഫോട്ടോയിൽ നിങ്ങൾ കാണുന്ന പോലെ തന്നെ someone who has the face of a horse or the head of a horse and the body of a human being. Alright, and Hayavadana was actually born due to a union between a very magnificent horse and, you know, a princess. And the story completely different ആണ്. അത് നിങ്ങൾ ഇപ്പം ഒന്ന് അറിഞ്ഞിരുന്നാൽ മതി. ഓക്കെ, the union between a horse and a princess. അതിന്റെ കഥ വളരെ കോംപ്ലിക്കേറ്റഡ് ആയിട്ടാണ്. അത് നമ്മൾ പ്ലേ മുഴുവൻ പഠിക്കുകയാണെങ്കിൽ മാത്രമേ പഠിക്കേണ്ട കാര്യമുള്ളൂ. പക്ഷെ അതാണ് സംഭവിച്ചത്. ഒരു princess, she fell in love with a horse. All right, and from their union, Hayavadana was born, but the horse was a very, very magnificent creature. അത് ഈ ലോകത്തിലെ ഒരു സാധാരണ ഹോഴ്സ് അല്ലായിരുന്നു. ഇറ്റ് വാസ് എ ഹെവൻലി ഹോഴ്സ്. അതുകൊണ്ട് കുറച്ചു കാലം കഴിഞ്ഞപ്പോഴത്തേക്കും ഹോഴ്സിന് തിരിച്ച് ഹെവൻസിലേക്ക് പോകണമെന്ന് ആഗ്രഹം തോന്നി. So he went, and the princess, who is Hayavadana's mother, she also wanted to go with him. So both of them went, and they left Hayavadana here. And Hayavadana, throughout his life, all right, he is trying to have perfection. Perfection എന്തുകൊണ്ട്? He is not complete, അല്ലെ? He is incomplete.